Hey everyone, welcome to Lammas Creations DIY. My name is Tammy. Today's video I am bringing you 8 of my very first spring crafts from when I first started YouTube last year. Let's get started. First you're going to take a saucer, clay pot saucer, and I believe these were 5 3/4 inch round, and I have 2 of them. And I'm going to paint the inside of one with this blue acrylic paint. And I believe I give it 2 or 3 coats. And then on the second one, you're going to paint the bottom with the same color. You don't have to have blue, but this is the color that I had chose to use. And I'm sorry about my editing. Apparently, I need to show you how to paint at the bottom of a saucer. And there you go. That's how you paint it. Now, taking a lighter blue, I'm going to just lightly go over all of the pieces. Oh, by the way, I also painted the 2 5-inch clay pots. You'll see there, just the body of them. And then with this blue, I go over everything, just lightly going over it all, like I just said. Now, using some E6000, I'm going to put a little around the rim of one and some in the middle. And then I'm also going to use some hot glue in the spots where I didn't put the E6000. This way I can have an automatic hold and continue going. Take the other clay pot and smush it on top. Now, taking some white acrylic paint, I'm just going to use my brush to make the leaves. And I'm going to paint on, I think I paint on 3 daisies. I just use the brush to make the petals. Wow, I can't talk. Using some brown, I paint in all the stems. And you can go whichever way you want. And apparently I had to show you all of this too. Wow, my editing skills are just fantastic. Then I used some green acrylic paint and drew on some leaves, just here and there around all the flowers. And I also painted those in as well. I swear I cut part of this out. I guess not. That's alright, you can listen to the music in the background as you watch me paint. There, now I'm going to paint it in, color it in. Yeah, same thing. Next, I take some yellow acrylic paint, fill in the middles of my daisies. Now, you're going to need a glass jar of some sort with a flat bottom. I'm again going to paint on some daisies, going all the way around the jar. And doing the same technique. I again, with the brown acrylic paint, connect all the stems all together all the way around. Some connect, some don't. And I also put on some leaves there as well. Now, using some E6000 again, I'm going to, along the inside on the top of this part that you put together, go around, and again with my hot glue in the places where there's no E6000. And we're going to take, that's the bottom, I'm sorry. We're going to stick it on top of the bottom. Jeez Louise. And then we're going to do the same thing to the top. Put some E6000 around it, some hot glue, and put it on top. Then, taking the glass part of this project, you're again going to add some E6000 to the bottom of it, along with some hot glue in the spots where there's no E6000, because apparently if you mix the two, it won't work. So I've been told. And then you're going to stick it on top, and when you're done that, this project is complete. This would be a wonderful Mother's Day gift, or something for yourself. Stick it out on your patio or in your garden. That would look absolutely beautiful. Just make sure to clear coat it first to go outside. Second craft. Taking 2 clay pots of different sizes, making sure one fits on top of the other when put together. We're going to take some E6000 again, run it along the rim in spots, and then hot glue in the other spots so you can have the long-term hold and the fast hold, right now hold. And we're going to put it on the bottom, making it the top of that other clay pot. Then taking some jute rope and some hot glue, you're going to wrap the entire pot. Hot gluing and wrapping until you get to the top. And then you just use some hot glue and wrap until it's at the end. Taking a lighter, we're going to singe off all the extra. And then I take another piece of jute rope, put it into a circle and hot glue it into place. Taking some black acrylic paint, I'm going to paint the inside of that circle. And then I also paint, I believe, 4 little tiny pom-poms. And I paint 2 stripes on 2 yellow bigger pom-poms with the same black paint. Then, taking some cardboard and my knife, I cut off just the corners because I wanted little triangles, and I painted those white. I also painted the inside of that pot black. Taking some hot glue, I'm going to glue 2 of the black pom-poms on, and then I'm going to glue the 2 little triangles on, making a cute little bee, and I made 2. Now, taking various flowers, I'm going to glue them up from the bottom to the top. I'm going to add in some leaves for some definition, add my bees on, and my little bee scape is done. Skeep, scape, skeep. Bee skeep. Super cute. I love it. Next craft. Excuse me. Taking a wood canvas board, I'm going to take some brown acrylic paint, add some white, ton of water, mix it together, and I'm going to rub it on like a stain. I do the front and all the edges. Now taking a ruler and marking off where I want my lines, I draw in my lines. And then I take a mixture of some black and white to make a gray, and I'm going to paint over my lines. Then I use a cloth to smudge them in. I also use this same mixture to distress it a bit along the edge and dry brush in the middle. Sand it all to make it all cohesive. I'm using some poster stickers that I got from Walmart. I'm going to place down Hello Sunshine. And then using the end of one of those floral picks, I'm going to glue 3 on. And then I cut 3 little pieces of wood pieces, stain them the same color, glued them to the back of these sunflowers, and then I glued those on to where the stems are. Now these are like paper flowers. I used to use them for when I made cards. So I picked out a bunch of them and added butterflies to some and cute little flowers to others. Arranged them on my sign, and then I used some more of these little pieces that you get off of the picks, but the flowers are all gone off of them. Put those down, Mod Podged Hello and Sunshine to make sure those letters stay on. And then using my fingers, I made a quadruple loop bow. I don't know how many times I went around. Tied it in a knot in the back, trimmed the ends, and I glue it right to the bottom of those flowers. And this sign is done. Hello, sunshine. It is spring, and the sun is shining beautiful. Now, taking some blue, it's just some blue house paint. I mixed in some darker house paint. And then I'm going to, on a 4-inch pot, draw in overalls, is what I'm drawing in, just with a pencil. Then, using that blue mixture, I'm going to paint in the parts that aren't the overalls. So basically the shirt that would be poking through those overalls, I'm going to paint that this color. So what I have is 2 4-inch pots, and I have 4 2-inch pots, I believe they are. And then I also paint the top parts of these 2-inch pots with that same blue color. Excuse me. Now taking some gray Parisian chalk paint, I'm going to paint in the overalls, and I paint in the rings around the bottom of those 2-inch pots with the same color. The other 4-inch pot I am leaving white. Now taking some floral wire and some buttons, I'm going to measure out a piece. I think I went about 18 inches, and I do 2 of those. Then taking a button, I'm going to thread it in so the button's basically threaded onto it. Put it through one of the clay pots, slide it through the part that we painted the pants on there. Then we're going to wire it back through that button that we put on top so it holds in place. I do the same thing for the second leg, and then you clip it off. Now taking a face that I printed off, I'm going to color onto the back with my pencil, trace it onto the part that we're using as the head so that it transfers it on. And then using just a Sharpie marker, I go over it. Then we're going to do the arms the same way. Some floral wire with a button. Add the button on so it's kind of like threaded onto it. Slide it through the holes, through the head hole. Add a button to it so that it holds in place. And then what I do is I kind of twist it, making sure that the arm is hanging, mind you. I kind of twist it and fold it down. And then I put a little glue in there. Found 2 buttons in my stash, glued those onto his overalls, drew on a pocket with a marker, and stitching around the stuff. E6000 hot glue, glued the head on. I glued in some floral foam, put in some lilies and some of these little white flowers, added some rocks in to hide the floral foam, and your little clay pot boy is done. I love him. Isn't he super cute? He's got funky hair, funky floral hair. Next craft. I found this napkin in my stash. It's a bunch of ladybugs, so I pulled I think it was a 2-ply, pulled it apart, and then I fussy cutted a bunch of ladybugs out plus that other one. Mod Podging in sections, we're going to Mod Podge the napkin down. And just using my fingers, I smooth it down all the way around. And then I just keep adding in the butterflies, nope, the ladybugs as we go along, until the entire pot is covered. I then let it dry. I also put another Mod Podge on top and let that dry. Now taking a styrofoam ball and a stick from outside, I put it into the styrofoam ball and trim it down. And then I'm taking various florals out of my stash, and I'm going to cover this entire styrofoam ball with different colors of florals and different species of florals. Is that how you would say it? Nice springy colored florals. These pink ones are my favorite. They remind me of cherry blossoms. Then I made a bow. We're going to glue that onto the stick. Cute little bow. And then I found some these clear glass-like ladybugs. They're not clear. And I glued those around. Taking some sandpaper, I sandpaper off the extra napkin, put in a styrofoam ring and glue that in. Add some moss to the top to hide it, and this project is done. I suggest adding rocks into your pot before you put the styrofoam on so it doesn't topple over. I love it. It's beautiful. Next craft. I have 3 pickle jars, and what I'm going to do in 3 different colors is I dip the jar in a quarter of a way, turned it upside right, and let them dry that way. Then taking this board that I had in my stash, I'm going to take it apart, sand down the front, sand down the frame, and then we're going to use the back side, and we're going to paint the sign and the frame in Parisian gray chalk paint. Taking a little bit of black and some brown, mix it together, add a little bit of water, and there's 8 little tiny wood knobs there. I'm going to stain all of them with that mixture. Excuse me. Now taking some, it's like a mushroom color paint, I'm going to distress the board a bit, just with that very lightly. And then I also do the frame with that as well. Now taking a ruler, I'm going to draw lines going across just the width of my ruler, and then using my finger I smudge it in just to make it kind of look like shiplap. Taking some craft paper and some hot glue, I'm going to glue it to the back, trim it off with my knife, and that way the back of this sign is all nice and covered and pretty. Now it's time to glue that back into the frame. Extra hot glue around the inside to hold it in better. Then taking some ribbon, I'm going to glue it all the way around the frame, just tacking it down on the corners. Now those little feet, we glue them together to make 4, glue them to the bottom, and then I take some wire, measure out I think about 6 inches, string on I think it's about 10 beads, 10 or 11 beads onto each of the wires, and we're going to use these as our handles. I take some hot glue, add it to the end, and I slip it right underneath that ribbon so it holds it down into place. I do it on both sides. Made a nice little burlap bow. We're going to glue that into the middle of there. Trim off the ends. And then this is how the jars turned out. We're going to take some jute rope, wrap it around the head about 3 or 4 times. Make a simple shoestring bow out of the same jute rope. And I do the same to all 3. Glue it in the middle. Add some pretty flowers of your choice, stick it on the tray, and this project is complete as well. The last craft, I think so. I cut out a piece 7 1/4 wide, and I missed that, I'm sorry. And then another 2 pieces, 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. The other one was 7 1/4 by 10 7/8. Another 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 by 8, and the hole was 1 1/4 inch wide. And then another piece that is 7 1/2 by 9 1/2. Which is the bottom. And then I have this old wheelbarrow stick, which is 22 inches long about and 1 3/4 inches wide, and I cut it so it was straight on the end. First, what we're going to do is I'm going to pre-drill a hole in the middle of this handle, and then using my ruler I'm going to find where the center of this board is, pre-drill a hole, use some hot glue on the handle, use a screw, and screw those 2 pieces together. Then taking the front and the back of the house and the sides, we're going to use some wood glue and glue them to the sides on both sides, obviously. Then I'm going to pre-drill in some holes, 3 on each side, and we're going to screw those into place. At this point in time, I had no nails for my air nailer, so I use screws. And then I do the exact same thing for the top, for the roof. Now, taking it's just some white paint, I'm going to paint the base of this house, the bottom of this house, in white, and then the roof in brown acrylic paint. I do the underneath as well. And then these are cedar shims, which I'm cutting into about 1.5 inch pieces. And we're going to basically shingle the roof with these using some hot glue and some wood glue. For the first part, I just do it like that. And the second part, I do hot glue and wood glue on the little pieces. On the top, I do the exact same thing. Hot glue and wood glue and put them on. Taking this Minwax stain, I'm going to stain the entire body of the house with this stain, just with a rag. And then I do the roof with a sponge brush, because these are rough pieces, so the sponge brush worked better, and then wiped it off with a rag. Taking some black acrylic paint, I add a ton of water to it, and I rub this all over the body of the birdhouse as well, darkening it up a bit. Now we're going to take the bottom piece, which I also stained. I'm going to use some wood glue around the edge, some hot glue in some other spots, glue it to the bottom. Then again, using wood glue and hot glue, glue it to the stand, add some screws to all 4 corners. I use a little stick from outside for the perch, and your little birdhouse is complete. I love it. And this wasn't the last craft. There's one more. Almost the last craft. Taking some cardboard and something that you have that is round. I'm going to trace out 3 and cut them out with your scissors. And then using different colors of felt, you're going to trace around those and cut those out. Taking some jute rope and some hot glue, we're going to wrap all 3 of those cardboard pieces with the jute rope. Wrap and glue until you get to the end. Then taking that same jute rope, you're going to, as big as you want, you're going to cut out a bunch of pieces and make them into loops, hot gluing them all around this piece. Taking some ribbon of your choice, you're going to hot glue it to the back of that loop, cut off any extra. You're going to do that to all the loops, to however many you want. Then I found some greenery in my stash. I'm going to add this to the flower. We're going to hot glue the felt to the back so it hides all that mess. And then I also decided to take this cute little yellow daisy, I believe it is, hot glue it into the middle. And then I did the same thing to the other 2 with different colors, of course, of ribbon. And when you're done that, these are done as well. I added hangers onto the back of them so you can hang them in the window and pretty up the house. If you've stayed this long, I certainly thank you for watching. I thought this video would be longer, but I ended up speeding it up a bit. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I am so glad you stuck around to the end to watch. Please subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you next time. Bye.